And what is going on, everybody? I am Jeremy Funderburk, the owner and founder of Instant Scale Media and the founder of the Ecom Genius podcast. And I am excited to have you guys on this episode. I got my man Joseph here.
What's up?
And guys, this is going to be a good episode. Got to just talk to him a little bit beforehand. And you know what? I'm excited about you guys getting to know him. And yeah, man, I just want to dive in. Like, tell these people just starting off, like, who are you?
All right. Well, my name is Joseph Harkless, and I usually go by the name Hark Henry because, you know, me and my wife, we have a podcast, we have radio stations. So I use my alias a lot. And plus, I use different names on social media. So my real jobs can't find me because, you know, we like to get loose on social media. So, you know, the jobs try to track down stuff. But it's good to be here, man. You know, I know you had reached out because you wanted to talk to people who have their own e-commerce business and things like that, and I'm eager to do that. I'm eager to get on this podcast with you and just talk about whatever. Because, like you said, we talked beforehand and we almost got caught up.
Yeah, man. I'm so excited to have you, man. It's an honor, it's a privilege. And I just love just having people like you who can bring their genius out to the world. So anybody else that's aspiring to get into e-commerce or, you know, just want to take their e-commerce game to the next level, man, hopefully they can learn from people like you. So the story, I just want them to learn about you. So like, dude, I'm interested to hear, like, what was your story like? Like, or you always an entrepreneur, like from kid up, like the upbringing, like what was all that like, man?
Well, I won't say I was always an entrepreneur, but I'm a creative person, so I always have something on the back burner. But um, I believe now in this generation with social media, it's easier now to kick stuff off and build a platform better than it was 20 years ago. Because, you know, I'm close to 50 now. So 20, 30 years ago, the technology that you guys have now, we didn't have. It's a whole lot harder to get something started or even to put your name out there. Social media has, what I want to say, condensed everything so much. I remember people used to say their dream was to be on TV or be in the movies. And you don't need that anymore. You know, there's people selling millions of records on YouTube, not signed to anybody, making movies on YouTube or TikTok or whatever. So social media has really helped to push my vision forward because, you know, I was a writer. I did a lot of poetry. I always wanted to write a book or something. But the struggle is to do that, which is really tough. And then you get frustrated. You just kind of like, I have a lot of dreams that's on the back burner. But like I said, and with this generation now and the things with technology, the opportunities we have now, it's easy to really kickstart that stuff and get your platform moving and going. But my latest thing right now that's really near and dear to my heart is my that we're building. Me and my wife, we're building a brand on different levels, starting with an e-commerce business to my end goal vision is to hopefully build a nonprofit and the business can support a large part of that, you know what I'm saying, without having to go get so much money from other people. I'll have a business running that keeps us financially stable, and I can also use it to support the nonprofit.
Wow. Yeah, I can definitely connect with you on some stuff like that. Very similar with me, man. But I want you to dive in and elaborate because I know there's two key things I just heard you say that are really like, we talk about one, people can build a brand, you know, and get that exposure a lot faster now with social media than they could, you know, when you were coming up. And it's like, oh man, I just gotta hope I make it and making the TVs and be a movie star or something.
Right.
Anybody can get that exposure. And then you said you're also approaching 50.
Right.
I know there's a lot of people that misconception like, oh, I'm getting up there in age. I don't have no business on social media. So dive into those for me, man.
And and you're absolutely right. Because even at my age, I was feeling like that because I never finished college. But I going back time and time again. I was always bored with school. So, I graduated when I was supposed to, but going to college just was never my thing. So after a while, I just kind of felt like I'm too old to be sitting in these classrooms with these young bucks. But again, with social media, I don't have to do that anymore. And you just have all the opportunities right here in your lap. And if you don't take advantage of it, you're missing out. And I try to talk to one of my godchildren all the time. And I remember, he did a little jail time, and, he was like, I'm not very smart. I can't do this and I can't do that. And I have to encourage him. I'm like, dude, your generation has all the tools right there in front of you. And I said, you have to take advantage of it, because now you don't necessarily have to pay for a college course. You can go on LinkedIn, and there was this other thing called lynda.com, and even YouTube again. There's classes for everything on there. And if you make yourself a professional or get certified, because I believe with LinkedIn, they signed up with this thing called Lynda. You used to be able to access it through your library, and it was free if you had a library card. And you can take these courses in anything and become certified in those subjects, free. So those opportunities out there, and even though it's the internet, a lot of people don't know about them. So I always encourage everybody to do the research, and it's crazy because even though, like I said, social media makes things a little bit more condensed, you still have to do the research and find it. You still have to go get online to look it up, and that can take hours because there's so much information out there. You have to like really break down what it is you're looking for. And that's what I had to do to get to the point where I am in my business right now, to where it's in the phase of moving forward, but to get it over that hill, I still got a little ways to go, and I'm still doing the research, and I'm still doing the work trying to figure it out.
Awesome. I love it, man. Yeah. And that learning curve, it's an ongoing thing.
It is.
I don't think anybody's ever arrived. But I heard the quote back in the day. My mentor, he told me, if you feel like you've arrived, then go ahead and unpack your bags because you're done.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you just have to. For me, there's no ceiling. There's no point where I think I'm done. Because even though I get up there in age, I still have to look behind me. Whether it's my children, I don't have children yet, but when I have children, or even my younger relatives, or even my godson, my godchildren, I have to leave something behind for them to chew on, for them to study, for them to learn. So there is never, in my opinion, there's never a ceiling. You should always keep going, or even leave something for somebody to learn on. You know what I mean? Just because you know it and you teach it to them, don't give them all of it. Give them a little bit so they can keep learning off of it. And then they can pass it down.
Yeah. And I'm a believer in the word, as I know you are too. Just biblically speaking, that's what it tells us to do.
Right. And my pastor told me once, he said, the blessing of God is blessing others. And I've said this on my podcast a million times. And a blessing isn't always something financial or something material. Blessing can be a word, a blessing can be a thought, a blessing can be a handshake, because you never know what somebody's need is. But blessing someone else with what they need, that's what a blessing is. It's not getting on your knees saying, hey, I need this, hey, I need that. Oh, I'm blessed. No, the blessing of God is blessing others. What do you have that you can give somebody to make them better or feel better? That's what I believe. That's what I've been taught.
I totally agree. I heard a guy, he's a door-to-door salesman, and he told a story about going to this lady's house, and she was just rude and nasty to him the time he came to the door. And his reaction, like, no, hey, it's cool, God bless you. Hope God bless you with a great day, and start leaving.
Right,
She's like, what'd you say? She was like,
right.
I was just saying God bless you. And then she was like, come in or whatever, let's
Hmm.
talk. And they just had a conversation, able to just bring light to her day. And then she ends up telling them, she's like, you know what, I'm sorry I was being mean to you, but this is the anniversary of my son's death, and I
Right.
couldn't take it. And she had like a gun right there. She was
Hmm.
like, I was literally about to kill myself right before you came.
Right.
And
Wow.
just because he decided to be a blessing, the lady's still alive today.
Right.
Mm.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, man, because in this day and time, you never know what someone is going through. And it just to take that moment or a second to give somebody a blessing or an act of kindness or whatever you want to call it, because there's people that who don't believe, and but we love them anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But you never know what somebody's dealing with. And one of the things that I do, I take it upon myself to do, because especially with mental health, because it's real. Every couple of days on my social media, I post it out there. I say, hey, I'm doing quality checks, and I do quality checks on the men on that's in my friends list. And I'll go into the inbox and I hit them up. I said, bro, it's a quality check. How's it going? How's your family? This, that, and the other. And I'm just checking on them, make sure they're okay, make sure their head's straight, make sure their life is good. And if it's not, let me know what I can do to help you out. What can I bless you with? And I think that's important, because in my era, because I can tell you're a lot younger than me, but the way we was raised in my era, uh, the whole being in touch with your feelings was not something we were raised to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that the climate that we're living in today, especially as Black men, young and old, we have to get in touch with our emotional side, because it's starting to add more stress on top of the everyday struggles that we're dealing with in society. So yeah, it's important to be in touch with your feelings, and that doesn't mean you're weak or you're a crybaby. That means say, hey, I have a problem. I need some help. I need somebody to listen to me. I need to talk to somebody. So therefore, again, that's a blessing. Reach out to your men, reach out to your brothers and talk to them and extend a hand. Say, hey, quality check, man. What do you need?
Yeah, it's so true.
Hmm.
I do make it a point to constantly reach, and which is crazy. Like my brothers, they freak out every time, like just random, like, hey, I'm just gonna check in, like, hey, just wants to let you know I love you, hope you're doing
Right,
well.
right,
And then he instantly calls me, yo, you good? What's going on?
right,
Like, nah,
right,
bro. Like, because one, you just gotta know your priorities in life. Like outside of all the material stuff, like none of that matters. But
right,
those people and those relationships, that's huge. So you never know what these people are going through. And I've gone
right.
through the battle. And I'm glad we're talking about this, because I'd imagine most
Hmm.
entrepreneurs, they go through that.
Right, right.
Like, so if you want to, man, just elaborate, because you're on the entrepreneur path hard. A
Yes.
lot of these people are either on that same path or they're aspiring to go to that path. And I
Hmm.
think every entrepreneur thinks that it's just this perfect road. Like, I'm gonna leave my job and I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna replace my income. So just talk about that mental and that emotional journey and battle.
Let me start with this, because you're making some good points with what you're saying. Because before we get to the point where you and I are even talking about entrepreneurship, you've got to figure out what you want to do. And you've got to figure out they call it a niche. Where
Mm-hmm.
is it that you can get in? What is it that you have uh, that you can offer value? And then when you have that value, you have to realize, like I said, how do you get in and how do you compete with everybody else? So entrepreneurship, it's not easy. Now you go on Instagram and you got all these people with these businesses and everything. It's not as easy as you think. Now, if somebody's on there doing 6 or 7 figures, trust me, there's probably been 3 or 4 days where they wanted to pull their hair out and just give up. My path is still in the building phase. And even though I get frustrated, I can't give up, because this is what I want to do. And I have to, first thing I had to do was figure out why do I want to do it? What's my motivation? And my motivation was not being motivated, and then I've only been married about 4 or 5 years, and then I'm seeing my wife crying and stressing about her job. And these big companies, she's been working for her company 20 years, and then every other year they're talking about layoffs. So she's stressing, and I don't want to see my wife stress. And as the head of the household, I've got to figure out a way to ease her stress to make this situation better. So that's my motivation, to make sure she's happy, to make sure we're still motivated, to make sure that we're both happy, and I had to figure out something that we can do together. And this business that we're building, and this brand that we're building, and this platform that we're building is something that we're working on together. And it's bringing us close. It brings us closer together. So our motivation actually is us. With that being said, if your motivation is, oh, I just want to make a lot of money, just go back to your regular 9 to 5. Because if that's your only motivation is just to make a lot of money, or I want to be rich like so-and-so on TV or something like that, that's the wrong thing to do, because you're not passionate about what it is you're bringing to the table. You're just in it to make money. You can make money on side hustles, but if you're passionate about being an entrepreneur, you've got to find your motivation, and you got to find your niche. The first thing I started doing, because everything I'm doing, I taught myself. So the first thing I started doing was watching Shark Tank and The Profit. And I learned a lot. And I remember Damon, was his name Damon John, the guy who created FUBU.
Yep.
I was listening to one of his videos on LinkedIn, and he used to work at Red Lobster while he was making the FUBU brand. He said the dumbest thing you could do while you're building your business is quit your job. He said that's the dumbest thing you can do. He said you don't quit your job until your business has 100% sustained you to a point where you don't need your regular 9 to 5. And he said when his stuff first started coming out, LL was wearing it, he was in the rap videos and all that. He said he was still working at Red Lobster, because you have to have something to sustain your income. You need something to sustain what you're building. And until that's 100% taken over everything, yeah, you better keep your job and stay on that path. So, that's the first thing I started doing, was like listening to him, watching Shark Tank, watching The Profit, and just picking up little tidbits like, what's a profit margin? What's your percentage? What's your sales goals, and all this other stuff. And trust and believe, you'll learn a lot just from watching those shows. And then everything else is just research on my end and just trying to figure it all out.
No, I totally agree, which is cool, because I'm not a TV person, but me and my wife, if we're sitting down, like we have like the free apps on the TV. Right. And I love my wife, because I wouldn't be able to do all that I do without her. But she's always like, is there a new episode of Shark Tank on? Let's watch Shark Tank. No, we're just watching The Profit. And she's like, I don't think I like that guy. And then we're actually watching the episodes. Like, I actually do like this dude. Yeah. But you can learn so much from those shows.
You can. And Marcus, I like Marcus because he's coming in to help people who's already had businesses. And sometimes he has to pull them back to almost the beginning, because they've been in the business for so long, they've lost their way. That's why their business is going downhill, because they've lost their way. And he has to help them reestablish or recreate their business, like rebranding. Like, for example, there's been a few times he's had some clothing stores on there, and these people are so invested into their business, it's like their child. But just like a parent, when you're overprotective, or you hover over your child too much, you can damage your child by holding them back. You know what I mean? You can kind of hurt your child in ways if you just giving them too much or just too protective.
Yep.
And some of them are doing that with their businesses. And then, Marcus is like, well, we got to change this color. And they don't want to change a color. They're that invested in it. He said, well, we have to scale some of this back. And they don't want to do that. But then by the end of the show, most of them end up on a good path. And, that's where I start paying attention. Because like at first I was like so invested into the logo I was building, the making, and the direction I was going, and this and this and this and this and this and that. But now I'm to the point, is like, I told my wife, I said, I want to build this up and license this crap off. And she said, why would you do that? I said, the money's in licensing. That's what Mr. Wonderful said. So I'm learning.
Speaking of which, I love Damon John, but Mr. Wonderful is like my favorite shark, because this is Instant Scale Me is the second marketing company I own. The first one I owned, which me and my business partner just split, got rid of that one. But that one was actually endorsed by Mr. Wonderful.
Oh, wow.
So now we're working on the endorsement for the new one. But yeah, he's my favorite because we got that endorsement from him.
Right.
He'll set you straight, like, all your numbers. What's your cost per acquisition? Like, you see these people like, yeah, I did $600,000 in sales last year. All right, how much of that was direct to consumer? How much of that was, brick and mortar? And then he'll tell these people straight up, like, get rid of all your brick and mortar and go all online. Exactly. And then they're like, no, we're planning on doing this and branching out. And I've seen multiple people do that. I'm like, this guy is successful. If he tells you this is the direction you should take, you should probably take that.
Exactly. And that's why I pay attention to what you're saying, because like he said, with licensing, license off your stuff and let somebody else do the work, and then go build something else. And that's his whole thing. Everything that comes to the door, he wants to license it off, because he knows he's got people in place who can take it and do the work, and he can come back and collect his percentage.
Yeah, he loves that royalty.
Right. Exactly. So yeah, that's the first lesson I would teach anybody. Just start paying attention to what's out there. Shark Tank, The Profit, pick up books, social media. It's a lot of information out there. My other thing about my business, because what I'm building is like an online boutique store. And my father was a minister, so everybody knows ministers know how to dress. They wear pretty nice clothes. And my father, he taught me and my brother how to tie ties, how to dress, all that. So, we pretty much take care of our clothes. And I like to shop. I like nice things. I like designer things, but I don't like spending a lot of my money. So I know how to find a deal. I know how to budget. As far as, my clothes. I'll go to a thrift store. I know what I'm looking for as far as the materials, the seams and stuff like that. And I can take that home. And if I need to alter it a little bit, I know how to do that. And those are just based on lessons that my father had gave us. So as I'm getting older, I'm realizing a lot of these men out here don't know how to dress, and a lot of them look bad. And I also ran like a youth program a couple years back. And now one of the things we were trying to teach the kids is how important your self-image is to yourself, your self-worth. Because if you look good, you feel good.
Yeah.
And if you look good, you feel good. Not in an arrogant way, but like, with kids, they're wearing dirty clothes every day and they don't feel good about themselves. So they rebel and they struggle in school. So what my program was doing was trying to teach these kids, number one, hygiene, how to take care of your clothes, how to tie ties, this, that, and other, how to be a gentleman. And that was just the scale we went. And it improved our behaviors in our school, because my school was for emotionally disturbed children. So that's children that were ADD, ODD, all of them. And, sometimes it would get really wild in there. And, kids would attack you for whatever reason. But once we got this program running, our incidents had dropped. Like within 3 months, our incidences had dropped down 25%.
Wow.
Right. And each month after that, they kept dropping. To the point, the only time we were really having major incidents were at the beginning of the school year, because we got a new crop and we have to retrain them.
Mm.
But the gent program had really helped out and it was really beneficial. And now back to my point with these grown men out here, same thing. They don't know how to dress, how to shop, how to find clothes. And we have a lot of men out here just looking lackluster, acting lackluster, and treating people in a lackluster way.
Mm.
So that was the one of the purposes of building my e-commerce business, Sons at SP Phillips. So it was first originally just for men, but I got a lot of static because I didn't have women's items on there. So I have like designer clothes. I find designer clothes and we resell them. So it's an online boutique. And then I put tidbits on there, some advice about dressing, get your clothes tailored,
Mm.
do this, do that, do this, and the other. But in the process of building that, my name gets out there. People reach out. What do you think about this? How does this look? People send me pictures. How does this look on me? I said, well, you need to tweak this. You need to do that. And I'm not talking like I'm a professional. I'm an everyday dude on the street. However, I want to look as good as anybody on TV, but I don't have the money to do that. And neither does the guy down the street. So I try to help them and assist them and find out how you can look just as good as anybody else. The first model was the motto for the business was $1 million style for the $100 man.
Mm. I love that.
Yeah. So, I can help you find clothes anywhere. And if I've dressed a couple friends and things like that who are living on a budget. And that's just, basically that's where we started. But now it's just kind of launched off into a couple other different directions. And like I said, we're kind of running on all cylinders right now.
Yeah, I'm loving that. I would say in clothing, like style, dressing up, that's a passion of mine.
Right.
And I came from that family of when I was in school, I asked my mom, like, hey, can I get a suit? Like, because I've always been an entrepreneur type, always.
Right.
You know, I was the guy in the second grade. I was like, I'm never working a job.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm entrepreneurial. And I was like, hey, I remember specifically, I was in the seventh grade and I say, Mom, I want to get a suit. And she say, no, we can't afford clothes like that. And like, me with no real idea of money at the time, I'm just like, oh man. So I'm thinking it's this thing. So like by the time I'm in the working world and I'm a professional, and I'm looking to buy suits, I learned quickly I can buy cheaper stuff. Like I think my first bet came from like Walmart and Goodwill.
Right.
But then I took it to a tailor and got it altered. I was like, even the cheap stuff, you can have $1,000 suit that doesn't fit and it's not going to look as good as that $15 suit that's tailored.
Exactly. And it's all about knowing how to do that. You figured it out. I figured it out. A lot of these guys out here haven't figured it out. So you got 30, 40, 50, 60-year-old men out here walking around with suits that don't fit them properly. And sad to say, sometimes when you're going for a job interview and you're looking like you're wearing a bag, they're not going to take you seriously. Or if you're trying to do something and, where you're required to wear a suit, they may not take you seriously because your clothes don't fit. And that's just a fact. I mean, America's superficial. That's just what we are. So what? And I just think it's important as men, black, white, whatever, we should look like men. We shouldn't be at 34 years old. We shouldn't look like a teenager who doesn't know.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's like a teenager gets in a suit. He doesn't know. Parents just throw a suit on you. You go out in the world. But when you get to a certain age where you're starting a career or you're looking for a job or you're trying to get a loan or trying to get a deal, you've got to look the part. You have to look like you know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You have to look a certain way. Like, why would I want to invest in you? Why would I want to invest in you? Why do I want to listen to you? Why do I want you near me? Got to look that part.
Have to.
Yeah.
It's key because like as we're people, but you can't overlook the fact that we're creatures. and we have the same instincts and mechanisms as like an animal does. So before I meet you, I don't know anything about you. So off
Right.
instinct, I can only go off of what I see.
Right.
So what's that image that you're portraying?
Right. And it goes to that thing. You never judge a book by its cover, but we do.
Mm-hmm.
We do it anyway. And it's not right, but it's what people do.
Mm-hmm.
And my experiences, I can't speak for everybody, but my experiences as a black man, walking in a room, they're gonna see you no matter what. You
Mm-hmm.
know, when we walk in a room, they see us. And some people have some preconceived notion of who or what we're about. Some just kind of wait. But that's just the facts. And especially in my life, those are the things I deal with. I can't speak for anybody else. So like when I walk in the room, I notice that people look at me
Mm-hmm.
immediately. So when I walk in a room, I want to look like somebody who belongs there.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy because my experience in the way I've been brought, my experience in the way I grew up, it's easy to see who's uncomfortable with your presence.
Mm-hmm.
So now that I'm much older, I'm uncomfortable making people uncomfortable with my presence. And it might sound crazy. So like, for example, like if I'm in Walmart and it's like an older white lady in the aisleway, I might not go down the aisleway because I don't want her to be uncomfortable with my presence because I'm uncomfortable with it. You know, does that make sense?
Yep.
So, you know, I'm just real careful of how I present myself. So if I see somebody in the aisle, I'll say, excuse me, or whatever. And, just make sure my image and my presence is taken firsthand as who I am and not what you think I might be.
So does your business, do you teach these things along with all the style, the way you carry yourself? Like how much of that do you actually teach and that you provide and you sell as far as like the clothes and different services?
I do. On my website, I have a section for blogs. So in those blogs, I add, I'll write I wrote a blog about my wedding day, how I was able to find my suits for me and my groomsmen. Our suits were $800. But by the time my wedding came, those suits were $199.
Wow.
Right. And it was a process, and people say, oh, it's just shopping. No, it's a science. You got to know what you're doing. So I do put that type of information out. And then if I see something out on the internet from like GQ or whatever, I'll grab it, put it on my website in the blog section, give them their credit. I might even reach out to the author on Twitter and say, hey, I'm using this on my website. Is that okay? And most of the time they don't answer back. But if they try to say something legal or whatever, I say, hey, I sent you a message. So, it's all about covering yourself. But I always try to educate men on style and on fashion. If I see something on, one of my buddies posting a picture, and I say, hey, you got to tighten that suit up, bro. So I'll tell them, I say, hey, I'm watching. And, they get it together. But yeah, I do share the knowledge. But in order to share the knowledge, you got to take the knowledge because I'm not always on point. So anybody who says something to me, hey, you got to try this, or you need to do this, or you need to tighten this up, I'll definitely do it.
No, I love that. So for everybody listening, like definitely make sure you check them out. Like I can't stress how important that is. And one thing I'll mention, because I know you mentioned your wife a couple of times. One of my, and I've never told my wife this, but one of my happiest, like proudest moments. So like anytime we go to like a business conference or an event, like we go to a weekend event, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I can guarantee you all 3 days throughout each day, people are constantly coming up to me complimenting my suits.
Right.
Always. And just seeing that look of pride and her face,
Yeah.
priceless.
Yeah. Because as a man, as a man, you're the head of the household. And that's a whole different conversation that people can twist, and we can talk about that some other time. But
Yeah, actually,
as a man,
I can just to jump in. I hate to interrupt. I hate interrupting, but
no, it's fine.
because you said for people listening, they're like, "Why's the man got to be the head? Why can't it be the woman? The man's the head, the woman's the neck. We can't even turn without her. We
Right,
work together."
right. And see, we're about to go off course. Because that's on my podcast with my wife, the Thursday podcast. That's what we talk about. So we bring couples on, and at the end of each podcast, we talk about the submissive wife,
Mhm.
and that's in Ephesians chapter 5. I'm not going into it because we'll go off topic, but we talk about the submissive wife, and I read the scripture to them, and I ask them, what does that mean to you? Now, when I'm talking to anybody off, anywhere else, and I bring that up, they go, "Oh no, I ain't submitting to nobody." And I says, because you don't understand what it means.
Yeah.
But a woman is submissive to a man that leads.
Mhm.
And that's the topic that we talk about. So, and that's what I'm saying. Like, as the man of the house, as the person who leads, yeah, you're representing you, your wife, your family, and your household. So you should look that part when you're out doing business. Now, if you're just
Mhm.
out, Walmart, wearing some jogging pants or whatever, it's still good to, have your pants up and look the part. But you should look like you're the lead and not in the background somewhere, because you're the head of the household. And like I said, people will jump on that and just run because they don't understand what it means. But
They don't understand.
no,
You know what, man? I'd love to be on your podcast one day. And
I'm gonna get you on there.
yeah. And for people listening that want to know more, read books like Captivating and Wild at Heart and
Mm-hmm.
His Needs, Her Needs,
Mm-hmm.
Love and Respect, 5 Love Languages, Man, Lover, Leader,
Yep.
Provider. There's so many books on it.
Yep. We talk about the love languages too, every episode.
Gotta know the love languages. Gotta know the love. And even in business, when I first read the book, I was blessed. Me and my dad were actually had the honor and privilege of working multiple jobs together.
Mm-hmm.
We were working at a gym. I was a trainer. He was the front desk person. And I had just got done reading the 5 love languages. And he was like, yeah, he's like, that's how I close sales here. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, and he's like, well, you know the 5 love language. You got acts of service,
Yep.
physical touch,
Yep.
gifts, words of affirmation,
Yep.
and quality time.
Yep.
And what he would do is he would take people out to the class. They do a class, and then as soon as the class is over, for physical touch people, he just gently puts their hand on the shoulder. He's like, "Hey, how was the class? Oh, it was great." Da, 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 da. He's like, "All right, cool. Let me do this for you." Acts of service, and then he would bring them over to talk to them. Hey, I want to introduce you to a trainer. Boom, you get these packages. He's gonna spend this much time with you, making sure that quality time. And then he's going to affirm, hey, you did good with this and that. Now they're going to make sure you get this and
Yep.
the word. And he'll just hit every single love language. So for people listening, like these books apply in business too.
Right. If you know how to apply them.
You can't not apply them if you don't know what they are. So
right.
Go read the books. Seek the knowledge.
Exactly. Knowledge is the key thing. And knowledge is work.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one thing people should remember. Knowledge is work. Knowledge isn't easy. And in my experience in these last couple of years, as I've been trying to build my business and my platform and my brand, people are stingy with knowledge. And that's one of the things that frustrates me, because even my friends are stingy with knowledge. And that's something I don't want to ever be. So if you ever see me in one of the podcast groups or one of the business groups and people say, hey, does anybody know how to do this and this and this? First thing I do, hit me up anytime. Hit me up, inbox me anytime, and I'll let you know. Because I see people in these groups, especially because I do photography too. So even in the photography groups, first thing somebody wants to do is like, oh, I can get you that if you sign up for my class for like $100 something. I'll come right behind them. Hit me up in my inbox and I'll tell you exactly what you need. So I'm not going to be stingy with knowledge. Now I plan on starting some courses like that for to teach the basic stuff, like the stuff that I learned to propel people forward.
Mm-hmm.
But in the meantime, while I'm preparing myself and building my curriculums, I'm going to share the knowledge. And even when I start my courses, I'm still going to share the knowledge. I'm not going to give it all to you, but I'm going to give you tidbits. Because there's been many times where I've reached out to a friend or anybody. I'm like, hey, how do you do this? Or how did you do that? And they act like they don't want to tell me anything. And I'm like, dude, you know, we supposed to be cool. And it's but that's taking time. That's taking time away from, you know, what I'm doing. I'm not getting paid for that. I'm like, okay. All right. So, you know, knowledge comes with a price, but I'm a person who's going to share the knowledge. And I do that because these two brothers that I've come to be friends with. And the one gentleman, they actually knew each other. And they were also in the fashion business. One of them got out. But one gentleman, his name was Ryan. He saw me in one of the men fashion blogs talking about this, that, and the other. And he reached out to me. He said, hey man, let me design you a suit. Let me get you a custom suit for the low. I said, okay. So
I'll take it.
we met up, he measured me up, and we talked about our other friend, Corey. And, you know, because I was starting out making something else. And he said, well, that's how Corey started out. And then in the conversation we were having, he said, if you want to get into this business, I'll give you anything that I have. If you want to use some of my distributors and manufacturers, I'm fine with that. He said, I don't have a problem with healthy competition because I have my clientele.
Mm-hmm.
He said, if I'm not sharing the knowledge or giving something back, then I'm not doing my part as a brother. Yeah. And I was like, okay. A couple months after that, I go see Corey. And Corey's my tailor. So he tailors my suits. And me and him are in this conversation. And he says almost the exact same thing verbatim. He said, if I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do to help you out, I'm not doing my part as a brother. Mm. And they're both very successful in what they're doing, running their own businesses. So I said, well, from now on, I'm not going to be stingy with the knowledge, because if I am, I'm not doing my part as a brother, because they were blessing me with stuff. Mm-hmm. And that's what we were talking about earlier, about blessing others. Yeah, that's the gift.
It is. And I tell everybody, like, nowadays you gotta adjust with the times, right? It's like, yeah, there's some people that still live in this industrial age, and we're in the technology age. Like, it's common sense to think, oh, if I'm operating like that, I'm going to fall behind. Right. But within this technology age, you got to realize we're no longer in the age of competition. We're in the age of collaboration now.
Exactly.
Like, even as I was starting my marketing company, and like, even to this day, like, some of my best friends are my competitors, and we all help each other out. And with my first company, one of my first clients came from a competitor who hopped on the sales call with me, closed them. And then he was like, yo, it was like, if you want to just cut me a piece, like, I'll do 100% of the work for you, so I can guarantee you get results and testimonials.
Right.
And now we got this great relationship where we're constantly feeding each other stuff.
Who does that you know? Who else does that?
Just the people that's up to date, knowing, hey, we're in this new age, but not
Shark Tank. They do that on Shark Tank.
They'll do that a lot.
Yeah.
Hey, Mark, you want to come in on this deal with me?
Exactly. Did you see the one with Kevin Hart on there?
Yeah. Kevin Hart did deal with two people. It was Mark and was it Lori was the other person?
I know he did one with Mark because
that was in the comic book one, wasn't it?
Right. And the guy was telling him, because the dude was trying to do something else, and Kevin Hart's like, I have everything you need. Yeah. And Mark was like, well, if you let me in, I can do this part. He said, come on.
Yeah. I encourage everybody to listen to that, because you'll see all the spectrums what was talking about, from one, the ecom side with these people selling online.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see the part of they're doing something a certain way and they're like, well, nah, you need to do this. And they're stubborn, like, well, we want to take this money and we're going to use it to build our production team and the technology. And Kevin Hart's like, I already have the full production team. You don't have to spend money there. Mark's like, I have the technology. You don't have to spend it there. We can just use that money and grow your business.
Right. And when you watch that episode, that dude was just literally standing there because he didn't have anything else to deal for. He didn't have anything else to say. He said, we're trying to build this. I got that. He said, we're trying to do that. We got that too. Yeah. So he didn't have a choice but to say, okay.
Yeah. It's powerful when people actually just partner. You can go further. What is it? I don't want to misquote some of these sayings.
Right.
But I can tell you now, two can go further than one. So
exactly.
You know, so what is it? If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, bring people with you.
Right. And that's even on the business side, and even in your personal life, because I honestly couldn't be as far as I am today without my wife, without somebody who believes in what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because you, like I said, you got to have your motivation, you got your vision, and you might have that, but you get discouraged, you get frustrated, you get mad, and then you want to quit, and then you get depressed. You can get depressed. Your mental health can suffer. But somebody who supports you can say, you know, my wife many times like, don't worry about it. I got it. I'll get this for you. Or what can I do? Or make me a part of it. So it's good to have a good partner in business and in your personal life to help push you along, because it's a long road. It's a tough road. And if you're not up for it, you're going to lose out and you're going to miss out.
Yeah, no, 100% agree. My wife, I couldn't do it without my wife.
Right.
No, you know, one of the scariest moments is when I was working corporate, like I was always a producer. And when they had those big layoffs and I was part of it, and sitting there, and I was like, well, I had this company that we started on the side, you know, the most you ever did in a month is 300. But I was like, I think I want to go all in. And just having that support from her, like I couldn't imagine if I didn't have that support of her. And she's like, no, we got to pay these bills. No, we falling behind in this area.
Yeah. My wife has been a blessing, man, because I was getting into photography. I was trying to get into photography to save myself money on the business, because I found out quick that when you reach out to other people to do stuff, they're going to get in your pockets. So that's why I said knowledge is vital, and doing the work is key. So if you don't know how to make a logo, learn how to make a logo, because they'll charge you big bucks to do nothing. So I know how to make my own logos now, because I was paying big bucks for stuff. Like I could have did that myself. You can do it all with Adobe. And I can make my own commercials now. I can do my own product photography. So now I have the skill where I can charge somebody else. I won't charge them as much as people try to charge me, but I can do that because I have the knowledge. And I have, and on top of that, my hands are 100% in my business. So there's nobody else making the decisions of the direction I want to go, or trying to undercut me in certain things that I can handle myself. That being said, with my wife, because we started, because like I said, I was doing the photography. So she pulled some money so I could go to media school, so I could learn photography and get better at it. Matter of fact, she bought me a camera.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Canon, a digital camera out of nowhere. Because my wife believes in the 5 love languages. She's a gift giver. And I've said this in my podcast, that if I'm not careful with what I want, Like if I say, oh, I need this, I need that,
You
and
just
she
go
hears
get
it,
it.
she'll go get it. And I don't even want her to. Like she heard me talking about a camera. She went and bought me a camera, the whole kit and everything. So then she tried to pay for me to go to media school so I could learn photography. I didn't learn photography, but we end up starting this podcast, and I can't do the podcast or our radio stations without her because I need her energy in order to get on this microphone and do the shows that we do.
Mm-hmm.
So without her, like I said, you having a good partner is vital. Having a good motivation and a vision is somebody who believes in all that is imperative.
Yeah, totally agree. I know we're approaching time right now, so hate
Oh,
to wrap it up. We always do like a part 2 or sometime.
anytime, man. I
But
enjoy it.
I definitely just want you to take a moment, man. Let them know some specifics you got going on. Let them promote whatever you want.
All right, that might
The floor
take
is
us
all
over.
yours.
All right. So on top, the business that we're running right now, like I said, it's an online boutique. It's called Sons of SP Phillips. And you can go to our website, www.sonsofspphillips.com, where we have our own signature items that we create and design. And then we have other designer clothes and things that you can purchase at very reasonable prices. There's blogs on there. There's a link to our podcast, which is called the Thursday podcast. And you can hear that on Anchor, Spotify, and Google, the usual stuff. Just type in hashtag THEHERSDAY. It should just pop right up. We have 3 radio shows every Sunday. So 8 a.m. We have the 2 Harks, music, inspiration, and fun on WMVU.org. Excuse me. Where we play strictly gospel music, but it's pretty good. We have a lot of fun. We have a lot of good segments. Then we have a 4 p.m. show on gospelimpactradio.com. Then we have a 6 o'clock show called the world famous 2 Harks, where we play gospel, R&B, hip hop, jazz, and soul. Still have a lot of fun. So definitely tune in. That's also on WMVU.org. So those are our major things that we got going on. So you can catch us on our social media. At Instagram is Sons of SPP. And I think that's also because I'm looking at my screen here. It's also our Twitter handle. That's for Sons of SP Phillips store. For the radio shows, you can go on Instagram, 2 Harks, the number 2, HAR. Can't spell my last name. Number 2, HARKS. That's on Instagram. On Twitter, it's at MSTAJ_Hark, HARK. And our photography page is the her_photog. And each one supports the other. So we have a business that is supported by other entities, and that's what's helping us build our brand and build our platform. And also, we follow and support causes like domestic violence awareness, mental health awareness. And you'll also see those blogs on the website. And we're looking to get into other programs that supports the community, supports positive intervention in households, communities, and positive reinforcement. So yeah, we got a lot going on.
Awesome. I love it. Yeah. I know for people watching this on YouTube, we'll definitely make sure we have links down below. And anywhere we can, we'll drop some links. But yeah, make sure you guys follow them, check them out. Have that value added, guys. He's providing the knowledge. So like you said, it's key. Just you gotta make sure you do the work too.
Mm-hmm. Just hit me up, ask me anything. How to get your LLC, how to trademark your logo. You don't have to pay these. What's that? The one website, the trade law. I don't know what it is, but it's some legal Zoom. Yeah, you don't have to pay them to do anything because you got to be careful because sometimes they'll help you out and they'll take your rights. People don't know that.
Yeah, definitely gotta be careful. Yeah, the more you know about the business, then the better. And like obviously, like things change as you grow. because you get to a point where you can't do it all, but
Yeah,
you
yeah,
still want to be educated throughout the whole. Like I have a team, but I know how to do each part of my business. I know how
right,
everything flows. So when
right,
I have to get involved, like I got
right.
this, and then you can't inspect it and see if things are being done right if you don't have the knowledge yourself.
Exactly, exactly. Get that knowledge, do the work, study before you start putting money into everything.
Mm. If you had to just real quick recommend, a list of top books for any entrepreneur, what would you say those are?
Oh, um, there's a book, a couple books. It's a book called A Brand Called You.
Mm.
I don't remember the young lady who wrote it. Um, there's also a book. I got these books. I don't know the authors. There's
Mm.
also a book called Outliers.
Hmm.
That's a good book to read. I can't
Malcolm
remember the
Gladwell.
author. And there's a book by whoever the guy is that created Fox News. He wrote a book,
Hmm.
and I can't remember. I can't remember the name of it, but it inbox me. I'll get it to you. And then there's also another book wrote. She's a minister. I think is her name Joyce Mason, something like that.
Joyce
Joyce
Meyer.
Joyce Meyer.
Love Joyce Meyer.
Something about outward thinking.
Hmm.
If you think it, put your thoughts, put your dreams, your desires out, and let the universe manifest that for you and bring it and make it reality.
Mm.
Having faith. I can't remember these books, but I have them upstairs.
Yeah,
But
she has a lot, so I don't know if I can recall that one off top.
right, right. But yeah, just the one thing I do say is um, stay the course, stay faithful. If you're a Christian, study the word, keep God first. Anybody else, just don't give up and just keep working hard and don't let anybody else discourage you, and make sure you have a clear path of what you're building for.
Mm. Love it. Well, brother, I appreciate you for
Yes,
being
sir.
me and my audience. And yeah, till next time, guys. Thanks for tuning in to the Ecom Genius Show. See
Yes,
you next.
sir. Yes, sir.